First up on the Focus at 4, the House Benghazi Committee questioned former Secretary of State and current Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton today based on information that they learned after reading her emails from her personal account, which you remember she used during her time at the White House.
Absolutely. And Clinton was on the defensive for most of the day, stating that most of her work has not been done through that email.
Well, Congresswoman, I did not conduct most of the business that I did on behalf of our country on email. I conducted it in meetings. I read massive amounts of memos, a great deal of classified information. I made a lot of secure phone calls. I was in and out of the White House all the time. There were a lot of things that happened that I was aware of and that I was reacting to.
Clinton maintained that on a day-to-day basis, she was often receiving top-secret CIA and State Department briefings, that she would be required to read classified memos that came from locked briefcases, not from emails.
Of course, many Democrats have viewed the Benghazi investigation as a witch hunt against Clinton, but the House Benghazi Committee chairman assured the presidential candidate that that was not the case. He added that Clinton's emails are no more or less important than anybody else's emails. It's just that hers took longer to get and garnered more media attention. Which it did.
Which it certainly did. The committee has interviewed really dozens of witnesses about the attack. This was Clinton's first appearance before the group, consisting of 7 Republicans and 5 Democrats.
And at some point during that whole thing, I didn't see, but I was reading before we went on the air. Apparently this got into a big shouting match at some point.
They were not holding back.
There was a recess, it was called, so a little bit of drama there.
Yep.
We'll have more on that coming up today at 5, and then, of course, on the evening news at 5:30. Well, this may be as close as you get to finding the perfect job. A new report from the website Glassdoor has listed the 25 best careers that balance professional and personal lives. News anchor, not on that one.
Not on that list. Not a big surprise there. The data was gathered from workers who have reviewed jobs on the site over the past year.
Reviewers gave the jobs a rating of 1 through 5, 1 being dissatisfaction with the amount of balance in somebody's daily lives and the 5 being the perfect balance. Among the 25 jobs listed, roughly half of those jobs are in the engineering or technology fields.
Which surprised me a little bit, but apparently the tech-driven nature of those jobs is maybe a reason why satisfaction is so high, because work can be done from remote locations, and a lot of the jobs in those fields feature high salaries, which isn't that nice for work-life balance, and more job openings.
And here's the backhanded compliment on all that. People in these careers, this report says, people in all those careers may think that their lives are balanced, but when you look at all the jobs, all of it all put together, really work-life balance is completely flip-flopped now than what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
Just because we are so connected, so even when we take a vacation,
Constantly.
we're not really taking. I do the same thing. I go on vacation, I'm still checking work
I
email.
don't go 10 minutes without checking my email unless I'm asleep. That's what we do on vacation all the time. So that work-life balance just down all around. But if you're looking for a little bit of it, maybe tech or engineering. Hey, as with every fall season, speaking of the workforce, high school juniors and seniors are faced with the tricky task of deciding which college admissions exams to take.
What did you do? Did you do the SAT
I did
or the
both.
ACT? You did both?
I thought kids did both all the time. I just did them for fun.
I did the ACT. Well, starting next year, students will have a new option when it comes to admission exams in the form of a brand new version of the SAT.
There are now 4 options for students when it comes to admissions exams. So you've got the current version of the SAT with a max score of 2,400, then the new version with a max score of 1,600. So they're going back to that. If you remember, about 10 years ago, that's what it was. The ACT with a top mark continuing to be 36, or some combination of them all if you just are a glutton for punishment.
None of the exams are necessarily wrong to take, and many students do prefer a combination like Kathleen did. But the SAT has always been seen as the more difficult exam, and now the SAT will focus on what students actually learn in school. The penalty for guessing will disappear, and the required essay then becomes optional.
Which good, because a standardized test essay, I've never felt very comfortable with that.
That's why I took the ACT. It was the easier one.
It was the easier one. You got out of there. The numbers are smaller. It's just 1 to 36.
Yeah.
You know, it's easier to understand.
I'm not going to say my score, but you know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera. The new SAT will also feature more algebra, less geometry. It'll focus less on fancy vocabulary words and more on analytical reasoning.
All right. Let's move on to this next story. 5 students, you're going to be outraged by this. 5 students from Ole Miss facing a range of charges after assaulting a rival fraternity member.
And it's all in the picture you're going to see in a sec. Police arrested 5 members of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity for severely beating Sigma Pi fraternity member Jeremy Boyle. Look at this.
Terrible story here. Boyle's grandfather says that these boys descended on the victim after he was investigating a commotion outside, and then they beat him within an inch of his life. He suffered a concussion, broken eardrum, broken teeth, bruised lungs, bruised ribs, a bruised groin. Just terrible. But look at this. Look at your
this.
TV screen.
These are the young gentlemen who have been accused of this crime, and they all have huge grins on their face. There has been internet outrage over the incident, which there probably would have been anyway, but because of the boys' smiling faces in their mug shots, judging by these shots, a lot of people say the boys just have no remorse for what they've done.
And this is who A&M plays this week.
Yeah.
Now, the fraternity's chapter president said, look, these are individual actions. This doesn't represent the fraternity itself. Here's my thing. Even if these guys are innocent, you had nothing to do with this. Doesn't matter. Look, you know what you're being booked in for.
Right.
You know you're being charged with a crime. Get the smile off your face.
Just get the smile off your face.
That's
For the half a
disturbing.
second when you're taking the picture, get the smile off your
Yeah.
face. And avoid
Fraternities,
that.
so many fraternities do so much good work.
So
and
much.
we see that here at home, but then you got a couple of people like that who go and do something just stupid, and then it ruins the whole
And you
thing.
see this, and they're smiling about it. Hey, that's it for us right now. Coming up, we got Tech Talk, we got Right Response, and another Check the